Hi everyone, welcome to another Yarn Scrap Friday with me, Laura, and in this video I'm going to be showing you first of all how to make a mini granny square, but I'm also going to show you how to join them into make a little bracelet. Okay, so to make this we're going to be using two different colours. You can use, of course, use any colour you like. You might want to just do it as one solid colour, but I've chosen two colours and I'm using a grey and a pink yarn. This is a DK light worsted weight yarn. That's a yarn weight of 3. I recommend using a yarn like a cotton or a bamboo or something that doesn't fluff up as easy, just to keep the image, the texture looking nice over time. It's up to you. You can use any yarn that you like. With that, I'm using quite a small crochet hook. I'm using a 2.5mm crochet hook. But you can use any hook size that you like for the yarn that you're using, so it'll just affect the size of the square. And you're also going to need a pair of scissors and a yarn tapestry needle as well. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so we're going to start off with the center colour, so that's going to be the pink. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 4 to begin. So over there. Chain 4. Let's do our little slip knot, and then we're going to chain 4. Let's chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we chained 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put our hook into our first chain. So pop it into our first chain. Bring the yarn through the first chain and bring it straight through the loop on your hook. And what that does is it makes a little loop of your 4 chains joined at the beginning and the end, and in the middle, which you might not be able to see because it's quite small, but in the middle, obviously don't confuse it with your first chain hole, which can look quite big. You need to find that center hole. There it is. And into there we are going to work some stitches. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a chain 1. But we're not going to count that as a stitch. That's just going to be a leverage, used for leverage. So, but we're going to work some double crochets into the center of this 4 chain loop. So this pattern's in US terminology. So we're going to yarn over to do our double crochet. So in the UK that's a treble. And then we need to find our center hole. So not our first chain hole, that center hole. Put our hook into there and bring the yarn through the middle. Then just wrapping it around the chains, we do a double crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Then we're going to do another one of those. So yarn over, back into the center, bring the yarn through, and do another double crochet, like so. So we've got 2 double crochet. Then we're going to chain 2. So chain 1 and 2, chain 2. Then we're going to do 2 more double crochet into this 4 chain loop. So yarn over again, go into the middle, the center, bring the yarn through and do another double crochet. Okay, so there's 1, yarn over, do another one. Okay, so 2 double crochet again, then we're going to chain 2 again. 1 and 2, chain 2, and we do another 2 double crochet into the center. Should get a bit easier to see the center hole now. So 1 double crochet and another one, 2. Okay, so another 2 double crochet, then we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, chain 2, and do another 2 double crochet into the center. 1 and another one, 2. Okay, so 2 double crochet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2 to finish. 1 and 2, so chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet. So ignore that little chain 1, find your first double crochet stitch, okay, and put your hook into the first double crochet stitch that you made, going under both loops, But instead of yarning over with the pink, we're going to yarn over with our second colour, which in this case is our grey. So I'm just going to bring up the grey. I'm going to drape that over my hook instead and just hold that into place with my finger. Bring that through the first double crochet and bring it straight through the loop on my hook. I'm going to secure that with a chain 1. Again, don't count that as a stitch. And then I can pull all my tail ends to tighten that into place. Then I'm going to cut my pink yarn. So just cut your pink yarn and you're finished with your central colour. So now we're working with the grey, and first thing we're going to do is we are going to work 2 double crochet into the 2 chain space right below. It's actually slightly to the right, so you're going to have to pull apart these 2 double crochets and these 2 double crochets until you find that space, that gap underneath those last 2 chains. So we're going to yarn over and put your hook into that gap just slightly to the right, in there, into that big gap. Bring the yarn through. We're going to do a double crochet. Okay, so that's 1 double crochet. You see it's just inside that 2 chain space. And then we're going to do another one. So yarn over again and go back into that 2 chain space, slightly to the right, and do another double crochet. Okay, so you've got 2 double crochet in that 2 chain space there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, we're going to chain 2, we're going to move over to this 2 chain space over here now, and in there we're going to do 2 double crochet in there. So just put your hook into that big gap under those 2 chains, wrapping it around the chains, we do 2 double crochet. That's 1. Get some more yarn, let's move it over, and 2. Okay, it's 2 double crochet. Then we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to do another 2 double crochet into the same 2 chain space. So go back into the same one and do 2 double crochet. Okay, 1 and another one. Okay, so you've got 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all in that 2 chain space. Then we're going to move over to the next one. So we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and do the same thing in this 2 chain space. Just put your hook in there and do 2 double crochet. 1, you want to move your stitches over as you do it. 2, then chain 2, 1 and 2, and do another 2 double crochet in the same space. 1 and 2. Okay, let's see. Then we're going to move over to the next one. So we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. So you always chain 2 in between. Some more yarn. And do the same thing in this 2 chain space. So move my tail end up the way and do 2 double crochet in there. 1 and 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, then 2 double crochet in the same space, 1, another one, 2. Okay. Then we're going to move over to this last one here. So we're going to chain 2 to move over here, and to finish up where you worked your first 2 double crochet into that 2 chain space, we're going to work another 2 double crochet in there as well. So it's the same as all the other corners. So 1 and another one in the same space. Okay, so 2 double crochet in there, and last but not least we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet that we did. So find your first double crochet, So skip the chain one, which probably disappeared anyway. Find the first double crochet and just do a slip stitch into there. Okay, so you bring the yarn through the stitch and straight through the loop on your hook, and there is your completed mini granny square. So what we're going to do now is we need to make, well, for me it's going to be 5 granny squares. It depends on the size of your wrist. You may only need 4, you may need 6, completely depends on the size of your wrist. So I need to make 5 of these. So just repeat this pattern until you have enough granny squares to wrap it around your wrist comfortably. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut my yarn, but I'm just going to leave a little bit for sewing. So leave a little bit of a tail end for sewing. Then just bring that through, pull that through. And then I'm going to hide my tail ends. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the middle one. Cut the middle one off. And I'm just going to sew the other ones a little bit. If it's a little bit short, what I actually do is I just put the needle in first. About there. You want to sew through similar colours. So put the needle in first and then I thread on the yarn when it's a bit short. And then just bring that through and trim down the excess. And I'll do the same for this other grey one as well. This is a bit longer, so I can just thread it on straight away. And thread through similar colours, like I said, neatly as you can. You can of course do a neater job than me when you've got more time. And with the last one, this tail, what we're going to do is thread this on to begin, and then I'm going to thread it through the same double crochet we slip stitched into. So find that double crochet you slip stitched into and just sew your yarn to the back like so, and it keeps a stitch count. And you should have, per side, you should have, so you're going to count one of those 2 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you should have 8 stitches on each side, okay? And you want to match up those with the rest of your granny squares. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this tail end to sew to this granny square. The first thing I'm going to do, because I've finished up in the double crochet, I need to move my yarn over to that the second of those last 2 chains, because that second of the last 2 chains is going to become our first stitch on that edge, okay? And the other chain is on this row. So this chain here is going to be on this row. So that's where we want to be. I'm going to match it up with this side. So I need to find one of those chains and those 2 double crochets, those 2 chains, those 2 double crochets, and one of these chains. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually coming into the back stitch. So I'm leaving this top stitch clear, and it just creates a slightly nicer edge. I'm just coming through that back stitch, and I'm going to join them up and basically sew them together. And then what I'm going to do is I need to find the first, it's facing the wrong way. That helps if it faces the right way. That makes more sense. I want to find that first double crochet then. So a little bit hard to see at the beginning, so just guesstimate. And I'm just going to come through the back stitch on this side. So I'm joining up each back stitch. Then I'm going to come into the back stitch for the first double crochet. There. And join it up with the next stitch on this side in the back stitch. I'm going to do that all the way across until I've sewn the side together. Okay, and then at the end I'm just going to go back into the same stitch. Okay, so it looks as neatly as you can, like so. And then I'm just going to hide this tail end. Just going to sew through to the back, and then turn it over and then hide my tail end through some stitching. Come back in the opposite direction just to make it secure, and then I'm going to cut off any excess like so. Okay, so you want to repeat that for all of your granny squares, and you should end up with one tail end on this one, and that's the one you want to use to finally join it into the loop. So I'm going to sew this one to these two together just exactly the same as what I did for a minute ago, and then I shall come back and show you the finished bracelet. And there we go. So I've sewn all of these together and made a loop out of my little granny squares, and the last thing to do is just pop it on your wrist. And the great thing about granny squares and crochet in general is it just stretches that a little bit just to get it over the wrist. And there we go, there is my finished mini granny square crochet bracelet. There we go. I actually really love making bracelets, so if you've enjoyed this tutorial, let me know in the comments below. And so there we go. I hope you managed to follow along. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. But before we go, I'm just going to introduce you, so a little bit of a shameless plug here of my travel mystery novel that I've also been writing. Let's see if I can refocus the camera. There we go. So if you don't know, I do write stories as well. It's one of my other hobbies, and I've just last year, I think it was, I finally published my travel mystery novel. So if you love a good travel mystery novel with a bit of romance, then please check out my Revenge in Thailand book, which is available on Amazon as an ebook or as a paperback, as you can see here. So there we go, and I can read you the synopsis if you'd like. So, a fast-paced travel mystery thriller with a hint of romance. Miserable over her dead-end job and cheating boyfriend, Emily's simple life is turned upside down when she receives a mysterious letter from Thailand, from a man who claims he knows something disturbing about her mother, who died many years ago. He pleads with her to visit him at a remote temple in the Thai jungle. Persuaded by her best friend Kathy to find out more, and realising she's becoming more like her solitary father, she decides to leave the safety of London and go in search of her past. But as she begins to take in the sights and sounds of rural Thailand, she realises the people around her are not all they seem to be. When the man she's due to meet is kidnapped and Kathy is attacked, can Emily solve the riddles of her mother's travel diary before she too follows her mother's fate? And as you can see, this is book 1 in the Emily Lapping travel mystery series. I've actually just finished editing book 2, which is set in Japan, so that will be released later this year. But otherwise, I will see you soon for more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.